Welcome to Framework Fortune and welcome back Framework Fortune community. I'm your host Ben and it's time for your Monday through Friday episode of The Last Rip, where we take a look at some top gainers on the NASDAQ and NYSE, especially the low float small cap ones, and see if we can find some trades for the next day or sometime this week, and also recap some of the trades I took today. So let's not waste any more time. And let's talk about the SPY. So the S&P 500, again, pushing up another day in a row, 4 days actually in a row of green candles on the SPY on the daily chart. And it just opened up and climbed, pushing for a new high at 437.50. We are continuing to get further and further off of support areas, further away from those support areas. So at some point, we're going to have somewhat of a correction. Maybe it goes to 450, maybe it goes to 440 before it starts to turn back around, or maybe it starts to turn around after this high. Who knows? But definitely want to keep one eyeball on the SPY at this current time if you're a longer term investor or swing trader, and even if you're a day trader, just to kind of know the overall direction of the market. So we're going to start off with a bang here. SGOC, you guys saw me hold this in the live stream. I was looking for that 20-day to continue to run up. And I did some stupidness on this. I had some dumb moments. I should have locked out right here. You can see it clear as day on the chart on the 15-minute. It got an indecision candle there followed by a red selling candle. That always signals a sell-off of some sort. And because it was dropping below the 20-day, it was a bearish sell-off. And I held for a while there because I went out about my day. I just put a stop loss pretty low because I didn't think it was going to get back under 20. If it did, I thought it was going to bounce really quickly. So I just threw my stop loss around the 1770, under 18. I figured that'd be enough wiggle room. And it got stopped out right here, right before the end of market open. This thing, it did rebound some back to 20. But the lesson from this is once something shows a bearish sign like that and you're starting to lose money, just cut your losses. Don't hold this long. I mean, I literally held for a $10 a share loss. That is terrible trading. That is bad. And you can see on 20 shares taking a $10 loss. I lost almost $200 on this unnecessarily. It was really dumb. Really, really dumb. Learn from this mistake so you do not pay the cost. Once your plan cracks down, once whatever support line or whatever your exit strategy is, just stick to it. There's no reason to take this type of loss. Now, with that being said, because it did hold around that $20 area, we possibly could see it try to push up again tomorrow. So far on the daily chart, though, this thing gives its gains back, and that's another thing that I should have noticed too. When it does get a spike, it usually has a sell-off same day. So we've seen that 2 days in a row. So even tomorrow, if it does open up at 20, it's one you got to be cautious with because it could just crack down. It is very high, and that's another thing too. It being up so high, it's probably not a good idea to hold this for very long. Just not a great trade overall. The next trade I took, which I'm still holding, is HIHO. This one was moving slowly the last week or two. You can see here on the daily chart where it's just kind of been climbing its way up. Here lately it's been getting some extra buying volume, trying to push it up to that $5 area. So I'm in at 487. I was looking for the $5 break and I got a quick one. And it has pulled back. Now, I only got 40 shares of this, but looking back on the daily, this stock has also paid out some dividends. So I looked back, and these were pretty decent dividends at this price. I mean, it was $2.60, and they paid out a 10-cent dividend there. So I was looking into it a little bit, and it's a Chinese industrial company. And looking at the daily chart, it has been climbing pretty nicely. And when it gets in these runs, you see that was the last drop there of COVID, it will slowly climb back up. So I'm holding it to see because we didn't get a ton of volume in it today. We got some, but not a lot. But I'm holding to see because we've had a little bit of increase in volume, a little bit of buying interest coming in this lately with that dividend, if this is possibly going to pop. So another trade I took, which I'm still in, IMTE, this was one that I was looking at last night, and it had a pop today. It was getting that little bit of volume just like SGOC, just like CARV the day before. You know, not a lot of volume, just some coming in there at market close. And today it had that rip, 20 cross over the 200, and it's continued to climb all day. So I never sold it, I just held it, and it's all the way up to 552. So I'm up about 24, 25 bucks on it. Didn't get a lot of shares, but I would expect tomorrow, especially looking at the daily, for this to try to make a move, as it's made like a little U shape here and it's back above all EMAs. We did get a close over the EMAs, which are at 462. So a lot of support in that area, and I'm in at 444. So I'm in below the support area. And you can even see here right before after hours closed, it did get a pop back up to 550, a little bit of solid buying volume coming in. So I am holding it as a swing until tomorrow morning to see how it opens up and what it does. So the other trade I took was XELA, which, you know, if you've been following me, I've been kind of trading this one off and on over the last couple of weeks. The 20 had crossed back over the 200-day last night, and it was staying above all the way through pre-market. Opened up, had a little dip, but ended up getting back above the 20-day, the 9 EMA. Once it got back above there, it continued to hold it all through after hours. So I continue to hold it as well, and it's all the way up at 381 right now. So we'll see how it opens up tomorrow, but very good possibility that this could rip some more. I'm up only 10 on it. So Seed was one that had a nice pop today. I did have this on watch, making that little consolidation triangle there, but you can see it did have a breakout from $12 up to $14.40. Closing, holding most of its gains, been on a decent little uptrend here the last couple of days with this random buying coming in. Then they did have some PR, that's decent PR, getting held up on the daily chart at the 200 and 100. So we'll need to see that 13 area hold as support for this to continue to run, but definitely want to keep on watch for tomorrow and maybe the rest of the week as well. DTSS, this one kind of the same thing as the other plays, getting a little bit of volume the day before and then getting a pop up today, 20 above the 200. So you could have held that and rode it all the way up to 429. Sold off a lot of its gains, but did close above the EMAs. So possible play tomorrow or the next day. WORX, this one breaking out pretty big today. $1.60 move up to $4. That's a pretty nice move. Came out, same thing, 20 above the 200 in pre-market, dipped down to the 200 and then got bought right back up and then just continued to ride the 9 EMA there up. And if I've been saying 20-day, if I've been calling the green line a 20-day, I meant to call it a 9 EMA. My settings have gotten messed up as I've been rearranging everything. And for a couple of months here, I thought I was using the 20, but I've actually been using the 9 EMA. So AMC on the daily chart was making that consolidation, but coming all the way back down to 40. The apes are getting their bananas taken out from under them right now. If you are in AMC still holding this because you think that's going to go up, maybe if it holds this 50-day, it could come back up and test this downtrend. But you can see the volume over the last couple of weeks has really slowed down on AMC. So nobody's really buying it. So if you're just holding this stock, looking for it to go up in price, you're going to have buyers that come in that want to buy it at this price to push it even higher. And the truth of the matter is there's no institutions or real investors, any big money that actually want to buy AMC at these high of prices. So more than likely it's probably done and going to come back down. Just thought I would cover it since I noticed it was having a little drop still like that. Whoops. Don't slaughter me, apes. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is SQQQ. And SQQQ is a inverse ETF of the QQQ, which is also similar to the SPY. So there's a couple of inverse ETFs that you can play when the stock market starts having big drops. where you can get some decent gains. See, the daily chart looks like crap because most of the time the stock market goes up. If you look in March right here, it did get a little pop up during the COVID lockdowns from 11 up to 16. So when you get a crash, these can be good hedges against those crashes to jump in and make some money on the way down without having to be a shorter. SQQQ is one. UVXY is another one. I have a whole list here, and maybe soon we'll talk about some of these. VIXY is probably the best one for the biggest rips. Back in February, it ripped from 54 up to 70, and now it's down to 22. Now, they do a lot of reverse stock splits or stock splits, whatever they got to do, because it's an ETF and it goes against the market because the market's always going up. That they have to keep it over a certain price to stay on the NASDAQ and NYSE. So the charts are not really what you're going to look at back in history, because all these pops is when the SPY has dropped pretty hard. So VIXY, if you don't have it on your watch list, put it on your watch list. Pay attention to it here and there. When the SPY starts moving up, look what VIXY is doing. When the SPY starts dropping, look what VIXY is doing. And then, if we do come to this Tower of Terror big crash that might happen, you'll be familiar with these inverse ETFs, or at least this one and how it works, so you can make some money even while the market's crashing. But that's all the stocks I'm going to cover for today. There's definitely a lot of possibilities to keep on watch, and it could be a whole new stock tomorrow that is the big ripper. Today there wasn't really a big ripper that I'm seeing other than WORX. But we didn't get any $10 or $20 rippers like we've been having. So we'll be back tomorrow morning for some more live day trading. If you haven't joined us for the live stream trading, come join us. Don't miss out. Lots of information to learn, and it's a good time. Appreciate everybody joining me as always. Stay safe out there. Until next time.